So when I look at the skin and I look at these circled areas, they all appear very normal, don't they? You don't see any difference. But let me show you how wrong that assumption is. So now I took an ink stamp and I stamped over the circles. So when we do a dermal-fascial examination, you'll be able to see where the dermal-fascial tissue is moving and has elasticity and where it has stiffened up. So you can see when we tension this bidirectionally, this tissue has the ability to stretch and move very easily, whereas this tissue right over the central quad is very stiff. And when I do that, I feel the sharp sting, kind of a pinch. And I feel the same thing this way. And you can see it just doesn't have that elastic stretch and give like the lateral vastus lateralis did. So another visual to help visualize what's happening with this tissue is that when it's loose and it doesn't have restriction, it's allowed to move and stretch multi-directionally without being any resistance. And then when it's really stiff, it's like if you roll that over and you pull on it, you can see how it doesn't give. It's just really stiff. And that is what we'll be able to show with the ultrasound. We'll be able to show these areas of densification and stiffness in the quadriceps right in this area versus this area over here. And I'm getting into that central quad, and you can see right there, there's a chain where that stiffness was. Just over that central quad, I'm going to do a long view. I'm going to start distal. I'm getting closer to the target area. You can see it's getting more hyperechoic. There's a lot of stiffness right in there. I bet it's really stiff right here. You can see how white and hyperechoic that is. I can see where it's giving and where it's not, and right there it's pretty stiff. There it's really stiff, and there it's really stiff, and there it's really stiff. So we got definitely a multi-directional restriction here. Probably why it was very dense there. So now I'm going to start releasing this. I feel a pretty good sting and a burn there when I'm doing that. So that's causing the tissue to stretch apart and become more hydrated. So we won't see so much stiffness and denseness of the tissue when we re-ultrasound. I did some DFR in this area right where it was really stiff, and you can see how it now has the elastic quality back in the tissue of the dermis and the fascia. Stretches much easier, and I'm not feeling any of the sharp sensations or the hot, warm sensations. So now we'll do a follow-up ultrasound, and we'll see if we can see some change in that area where it was really dense and stiff. So if we start from the vastus lateralis and move medially slowly, here's the skin, return of the hydration in the muscle. If we do the long axis view, a little stiffness here is so much better. We restored the dermal-fascial elasticity, not quite fully yet, but we've made big progress, and we can see a big change in the amount of stiffness in the tissue right there. When we began the video, I showed you a picture of how everything looked so normal, but we found out that it wasn't normal. Everything below this area in the square here was very stiff, and we were able to visualize that with the ultrasound and verify the area of stiffness, treat it, and restore the elastic quality of the tissue so that it can now move multi-dimensionally in every direction as it's supposed to, and that tissue is much healthier.